Congress is on an Easter recess, fresh off passing a massive spending bill to keep the government running. And during this time off, Congressman Steve Scalise has been leading a bipartisan fact-finding tour of the offshore oil industry. And the Metro Republican and House Majority Whip is joining us in the studio. First of all, you do this every year.
Yeah, Eric, this is the 10th year in a row that we've done this offshore energy tour. I started it when I came into Congress in 2008, and it's a great way to showcase to members of Congress from all around the country just how we produce energy in the deep waters of the Gulf of Mexico, and to meet with a lot of local business owners that service the oil field. And we talk a lot about coastal erosion, and I show them, we fly over the coast as we're going towards the rig 60 miles offshore, and I show them just how much land we've lost and that we continue to lose an hour.
And it's important because you need a lot of national support on that.
Yeah, because we use, just starting last year, Louisiana was finally able to start getting revenue sharing from the drilling that's done offshore. And we use that money for coastal restoration. And so I talked a lot about that and how important revenue sharing is. And, you know, there have been attempts over the years to try to raid the revenue sharing. We've actually worked to increase the amount that Louisiana gets just in the tax cut bill that was passed in December. Senator Cassidy and I got language in that estimates say we'll get an extra $100 million just from that bill alone to restore our coast.
Now, Congress just passed that big omnibus spending bill, a $1.3 trillion package. I talked to Senator Cassidy this morning. He and Senator John Kennedy voted against it. You voted for it.
Yeah, the bill actually is really important to restoring our defense. $700 billion of that $1.3 trillion is strictly for the Defense Department. We gave a pay raise to our troops, which was much needed. We restore air superiority. I mean, you've just seen in the last 2 weeks, 2 more planes fell out of the sky because they don't have the proper parts they need. And we're losing men and women in uniform in training exercises. That's unacceptable. So we finally restore our air and naval superiority in that bill. We give President Trump money to build another 100 miles of border wall so we can protect our border. So there's a lot of good things, including some important things for Louisiana in that bill.
And he was not happy about the price tag on it because it is a massive spending bill. Now he's also, on the border wall, he's also talking about the military funding the border wall.
Yeah, President Trump did just talk about possibly using some Defense Department money, and if there's creative ways that he can continue to secure our nation's border. It's part of our national security, Eric. I mean, we've had presidents, Republican and Democrat alike, for decades that ignored current laws that did not secure America's border, and we pay a price for it.
But should the military, should that come out of DOD?
Well, it depends on where he's looking at using it. I mean, I think if you look at some of the areas where there are border crossings, where you have gangs that are coming over, where you have terrorists that are using those areas of the border to come over, that's something that he ought to look at, because the president's job is not just to keep America running and get our economy going. It's to serve as the commander-in-chief and to protect America here at home. And so I'm glad he's willing to look at creative ways of protecting America and our border.
And this morning he tweeted out about the Second Amendment. Former Justice John Paul Stevens is suggesting maybe repealing the Second Amendment so the legislation can be done by Congress for better gun control in this country. He's against that.
I think it's nuts for anybody to talk about repealing the Second Amendment. It's a foundation of America's founding. I mean, our founding fathers talked about the importance of people having the ability to protect and defend themselves and their family. That's why the Second Amendment was put in place. It would be like suggesting repealing the First Amendment. It would be a crazy idea. But regardless of that, it shows that there are people that want to undermine our Second Amendment rights. We need to stand up for them. And look, there's things Congress passed to allow school systems across the country to better defend schools and protect children in schools. But taking away the rights of law-abiding citizens is not the answer. And clearly with John Paul Stevens and other liberals like him, they want to take that right away. We're not going to let it happen.
And quickly, we're out of time, but I want to ask you, are you concerned about this White House with a Mueller investigation, 3 separate lawsuits by 3 different women against the president, and the seemingly revolving door at the White House? Is the party concerned about that?
Well, look, I think first of all, it gets back to the economy, and President Trump has been focused really closely working with us in Congress on getting the economy back on track. The tax cut bill is working. People see more money in their paychecks. We know it's going to be a tough election cycle this November to keep the House. Nancy Pelosi wants to be Speaker again. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen, and I think having a humming economy like we do now is our best antidote.
Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
Great to be back.